house, I saw a news saying that the plastic is in the rice produced in China. Chinese manufacturers have sometimes do this kind of problems, and I try to avoid Chinese-made products in a supermarket. What I want to emphasize here is how hard is it to remove bad reputation images that customer once gained, no matter if it's true or not. Today, Huawei in Canada is in a very important time to determine their destiny, whether to let the anxiety grow or to combat the bad reputation and flourish in Canada. My name is Daiki.
And I am Noburo Nishio.
And I'm Len Kobayashi.
And I'm Yuri Ezoe.
We are from Keio University in Tokyo, Japan. This is the outline for today's presentation. We currently go over why Huawei has been so successful overseas. Nextly, we talk about the core strategies of Huawei, and then currently discuss on the operations in Canada, what they're doing in Canada. Nextly, we talk about emerging problems surrounding Huawei in overseas market, and then we propose action plans for that. Now I'm going to pass it on to Yuri to talk about Huawei's success factors.
So first of all, what's the Huawei's position and target is? So the Huawei has a low cost telecommunication equipment maker, and also Huawei is a service provider in all over the world. And their target is, especially in Canada, their target is carrier companies. So Huawei has success in all over the world, and there are many key successes here. So I want to go and look for the factors of the success. There are two sides: the internal and external aspects of the success of Huawei. First of all, the internal side, we can see that Huawei has a low cost in research and making productions, and for small supplier and in-house suppliers, so they could make a low cost in making products. And also R&D, and also as in terms of R&D, they had an open innovation, so they had many kind of companies to have a joint ventures, and also have alliance with the university and had a research with it. Also, they hired local people, so the cost of them was low too. And mostly, the point is that Huawei has an internal R&D network, especially in Canada. They had a technological hub, so they could have many kinds of technology from all over the world. Next, looking to the external aspects, like China's government has a sport that when the Chinese companies go overseas to expand, they gave the fans to expanding outside, and also in the foreign markets they had a cost pressure, but they tried. Huawei had a low cost strategy, so they could adapt it to the foreign countries. So next, Ren will talk about localizations strategies.
Hi, so I'm going to talk about what the localization strategy is. It's the most biggest competence of Huawei. And globalization strategy means that the Huawei hire the local people and meet the local needs by making a relationship with local institutes. Now, I'm going to talk about globalization strategy in Canada. First, Huawei provided the service to the competitor in Canada, I mean Telus. And also, Huawei spread their service to rural area for small carriers. And then they have a joint research program with local university in Canada. And also they launched joint innovation with the competitors, Telus. And it contributed to the success of operation in Canada for Huawei. And then Nobu will talk about the emerging problem in Canada for Huawei.
Okay, thank you, Ren. As they explained, the Huawei has been always following their globalization strategy in expanding overseas markets, which is to hire local people and to have partnerships with the local institution or universities, or maybe their competitors in their local market. And it seems like in Canada also, the Huawei has been following this localization strategy. As Ren explained, there are a number of partnerships that took place in Canada. But what is the reason? What is this one drawbacks that the Huawei in Canada has been suffering from? And this is the answer. So it seems like America, the most influential lobbying group, like lobbying country of all in the world, has been saying that, has been giving the warnings in their domestic market that don't buy Huawei products or don't contract with them. The reason they're giving for this, the warning, is that first thing is the founder named Ren, his background as a former engineer of the Chinese army. And second thing is that they had a previous experiences that Cisco, the local giant in the US market, have sued them for the copyright issues, which may not be true because it was turned down after a few years. But it gave a bad impression into the customers. And the third thing is the fact that they, as you explained, the Chinese government have given some financial support to the companies who wish to expand overseas. So the fact that Huawei also had a financial backup from the Chinese development bank called for a criticism within the domestic market. And because the US has been saying this, so that other companies like Europe, the EU, or maybe some other market like UK and also Canada has started to consider, oh, is it really the case for Huawei in our country? Are they trying to spy on us or trying to get some records from all the telecommunication services? But we believe that it is just a rumor. We believe that in Canada, the Huawei has been following their globalization strategy, trying to implement their strength in their country. So we believe that Huawei in Canada has done nothing wrong, but it's just a rumor of being a Chinese company has been dragging them down. So here are our solutions. So it's separated into two parts. It's kind of hard to see, I'm sorry, but the first thing is, since the Huawei's the core competence is the globalization strategy, and that is what has given the people in the world the trust for their products and their services. So the first thing we propose is to strengthen the core strategy, which is globalization strategy in Canada. And the second thing is that, and after strengthening their core competence, they should let the public know more about it. So that would be the second part. But how exactly are we doing this? The first thing they can do is probably to cut the financial support from the Chinese government to not to double check, but to reaffirm that they are a private company, independent from Chinese government. And the second thing is to introduce an external audit on international infrastructure, by which I mean the organizational structure, and also financial record and accountings. And the third thing, after after stating that they are very clean, the private, independent company, they can probably increase the local hires, as it is their localization strategy. And in the fourth, they can probably partnership with more companies in innovation and R&D as well. But after making the localization strategy stronger, they have to promote as well. So the first thing they can do is to immediately release the press release, the official comments about this. It seems like in the case, it's not described that the Huawei in Canada has made a comment about being criticized. So they can probably officially say that it's not true. And they have to do it immediately. And the second thing is that as we introduce the external audit, they can disclose the results to convince the customers. And by doing these two big strategies, the customers in Canada, and it actually applies to all over the world as well, but the consumers, the companies, the governments will have a better recognition, better understanding of the Huawei, not with rumors, but with evidences. That will be our action plan. And Daiki will talk about some risks and how to respond to it.
Any proposals have always risks. First of all, by hiring local people, we expect that the headquarters controls over the regional branches will decrease. To combat that, we concluded that we have the CEO that is internally promoted to ensure that the operational speed will not slow down, and the CEO, the top of the company, the branch, has a loyalty to the headquarters, so we do not expect any lags or slowing down. Second risk involving the proposals are the bad relationship between Chinese government. This is because, like Nobuo said, we are gonna cut the tie with Chinese government about financial backups. To fight against this risk, we propose that we will set a negotiation to place with Chinese government and explain them the benefits, such as if they cut the bond between Chinese government and the Huawei, they might have better presence in overseas markets, such as they no longer have bad reputation about Chinese government. Secondly, if Huawei could succeed in Canada, they can bring back their technologies or innovations to the China, and which is beneficial for Chinese government as well as Huawei. So our team has been discussing that the Huawei has done nothing wrong, but the environment, such as bad reputation from American government, is the biggest reason that the Huawei is suffering in overseas market. So, as we said, by strengthening our core strategies in overseas and promoting it to the public will be the best way for Huawei to flourish in Canada or in the other area in the world. Thank you so much. this is really good.
Well, thank you very much. You finished 5 minutes early, just for your record. Right now we'll proceed to Q&A. That's 15 minutes. They're all yours.
In one of the slides, you talk about how you can deepen the globalization strategy. You've got 4 points there. I've got 2 points I want to ask you a question on. One is in relation to cutting financial support from the PRC government. Obviously, that actually comprises quite a big benefit, right, in terms of financial safety of the company. So by cutting that, how are you thinking of covering that benefit up? How will it help in continuing on financial benefit of the company? Second, in relation to the increasing local hires. You mentioned at this point in time, the company in Canada had some negative reputation. And I think as competitors, maybe as strong. So how can you attract more talented, experienced local hires?
Can I discuss with my teammates first? Okay, you're answering the question.
So for the first question, we consider that if we see for the long-term revenue, we can even if we don't have any financial aids, we can have some impact from the
In a short run, yes, that's true that the financial backing is very important. If they not have that, they will suffer very much. But as we talked, the reason for the Huawei suffering in overseas market is just the rumor. They have competitive advantage such as low cost and globalization. So if we can remove that bad rumor, Huawei will succeed for sure. And in the long run, Huawei will succeed in Canada, and that financial backing will no longer be a problem. That's our answer.
And I was answer the second question. How will get the more local people in this company? Huawei has already a lot of relationships in Canada, like University Canada or TELUS or for small carriers. So I think Huawei can use the good reputation, already good reputation of people who worked for Huawei in Canada. And we can publicate the information or opinions about how good Huawei is. And I think the publication of information or opinions of workers is most important, and we can succeed in getting more people.
Okay, I have a question on one of the slides. I think that you were saying that part of the solution is that you will aim to get the public on side and get the public behind it. And you keep mentioning the company hasn't done anything wrong and it's a reputational thing, and you need to get the public on side. So I guess my challenge is it really the public that you need to get on side? Because this isn't a consumer product. It's not like an iPhone or a Galaxy where you go and decide, the consumer goes and decides which one. this is selling to big companies and governments. I wonder if getting the public on side is really the important thing to do.
Well, when I mentioned the public, maybe there was this interpretation, but when I meant public, that included actually the government and the companies that they are selling to, their business partners, and also the consumers. Because, and then I think the consumers, as you said, and as we meant, that is very important part to get to get the reputation back from, because the companies, because also the Huawei's business partners, their carrier companies, they also listen to the customers, and if they don't want anything from Huawei, also those companies also don't contract with Huawei. So I think starting from the customer, the very end of the supply chain, and then getting the reliance back from them is very crucial.
A similar question, but now that you've asked it, just one sort of high-level question,
Okay.
and then I have a couple of others. But when you look at the Canadian market, it seems it's a fairly small market. It doesn't look like it's really growing that much. They're strong players already there. Did you at all consider, why they need to stay in Canada at all? Would it not be better to just leave and focus on other markets? Did you consider that at all?
Well, as you said, actually the Canadian market is really small, but we think the small size, is good for us. This is our new approach. This might be in the result of fail. So if we succeed in Canada, this can be a stepstone to other market, and in that case we can go any bigger markets such as India or Russia or somewhere. So we think this is good that we have a small market.
Yeah, I think if you just judge based on the market size, they have to withdraw from the other the markets as well. And then it's important that they actually tackle this problem of bad rumors and then show that it's not true. If they just withdraw because of this bad rumor, that actually has a bad influence on the other market. I'm thinking maybe it just let these other governments to think, oh, maybe that was true, and then the rumors to get worse and worse.
And given the proximity to United States from Canada, if we succeed in Canada, the reputation will not be a problem of us in other parts of the world.
Great. So now the following question to that would be that, okay, so given that, yes, it makes sense to stay in Canada, you spoke about the trust part and, getting the public and etc. on site, but you didn't really talk about, the growth strategy or, growing market share. So did you consider that, or, did you think about how they would, potentially if they overcome this, how they would grow?
This what now?
Growth. Yes, you're talking about if we ever considered about the growth and growth strategy and how they can actually, what they can actually do on the business side, right? Well, the answer would be no. We actually didn't consider about the business side because we thought the origin problem is this side of the problem, and we thought as history shows, the globalization strategy has been very successful in many countries, including the emerging countries with the smaller market size, and also the big markets with the developing country with big market size. So I thought this way of doing business was right, but it's just the rumor that is dragging them down. So I thought we should tackle this problem first and then think about the business side later. And we just didn't have time for that, so we presented this side of the business.
I have another question. Just on your risk slide, you mentioned one of the risks. actually the one on the CEO. So this is number one. So the solution, if I understand it, internally select the CEO to maintain the organisational culture and loyalty. I wonder if, did you consider maybe a bolder solution that actually part of the problem might be seen that if the head office in China is selecting the CEO, then that creates part of the problem. But maybe a bolder solution would be to actually go in a sort of opposite direction and have a very Canadian national person as a CEO to show that it's independent.
Well, in this we actually didn't mention here, but we were actually thinking of internally promoting the CEO with the local nationality, so say the Canadian person, so that we can show that the Huawei Canada is actually run by a Canadian person, but with some experiences working for, not some experiences, a long history of working for Huawei, just to obtain the organizational culture and the fast communication between the headquarters and subsidiary. So I think we try to balance up, this the communication cost or the control cost over with I don't know how to say it, the reputation of the company as we promote the local national as CEO. It doesn't seem like they have a Canadian CEO or the head of the R&D center from the case. So we thought from the partnership, universities, institutions, or even the Huawei inside, they can probably pick somebody capable of being CEO in the future. But that cannot be done immediately. They have some process of choosing who's good, who's bad. So it would come. So our priority for this was third after cutting the ties with the Chinese government.
2 more minutes. Talk a lot about the reputation. I think as much as one thing is a rumor, in fact in the States, the US government has actually issued, what we call it, saying that no more bidding for US government contracts, and in fact they have actually encouraged private sector not to do Huawei. So it's actually quite serious in the States. As you mentioned earlier on, because of the close proximity between US and Canada, and quite an influential relationship as well between US and Canada, have you considered whether, from a political standpoint, anything that Huawei needs to do, and so perhaps anything that should be done?
That's a very good question.
What kind?
Can we think for a minute first?
Well, as for the question, as we said, Canada, if we succeed in Canada, Canada can be the stepson to future expansion to other places, which includes United States. So we think that the political bonds between Canada and the United States is very strong. But if we can persuade Canada first, maybe we can, that's about that. We're not sure, but we can change the mind of the United States to at least not to ban the Huawei product. that's the best answer we can make now.
Thank you very much. Right on time with the Q&A.
6 seconds left.
Let's give a hand of applause to the Keio University.